The whispers under her skin. She woke up in a white bathtub, her clothes soaked in blood, but there were no wounds on her body. The light above her buzzed, flickering in sickly pulses. The tiles were spotless, almost surgical, except for the deep red spreading out beneath her. Her skin prickled with cold, her lips trembled, every breath fogged in the air. She sat up slowly, the water sloshing around her legs, now pink from diluted blood. Her eyes darted around the room. Pale green tiles, a spotless sink, a large mirror fogged with condensation, and a closed shower curtain behind her. Everything smelled faintly of antiseptic and rot. Her name was Jenna Avery. She was 27. She remembered driving to the old family cabin with her younger sister, Emily. They were supposed to spend the week clearing out their grandfather's things after he passed away. It was supposed to be simple. Then she found the box. Jenna swallowed hard. "Where's Emily?" The shower curtain twitched. She froze. No wind, no draft. No one else in the room. But the curtain had moved. Just slightly. Just enough. She reached out with a trembling hand and pulled it aside in one sudden motion. Nothing. Just the blank, clean wall of the shower. The blood on her soaked shirt stuck to her skin, cold and sticky. A low, gurgling sound began behind her. She turned. The bathtub drain was swirling, slowly, deliberately, even though the plug was still in. The water hadn't gone down, but it was moving, and something wasn't right. Symbols were forming in the water, circles, crosses, jagged lines and spirals. They formed like oil slicks, shaping themselves unnaturally, like the blood had memory. Jenna scrambled out of the tub and slipped on the tile. Her elbow hit the corner of the sink with a sharp crack, and she cried out, curling up in pain. For a moment, her vision blurred. She crawled to the door. It was locked, not from the inside, from the outside. Her heart thundered in her chest. "Emily!" she shouted, her voice ragged. "Emily, are you there? Let me out!" No answer, just a quiet gurgling, then a voice from the drain. It was her sister's voice. "Jenna, he's under your skin now. You brought him back. You opened the box. You promised you wouldn't." Jenna stared at the drain. Her pulse throbbed in her ears. Her knees buckled. She gripped the edge of the sink for balance. "No, that's not Emily," she whispered. But she knew. She'd opened the box yesterday. It was small, wooden, sealed with melted black wax and rusted iron clasps. She'd found it hidden in a false wall under the cabin's fireplace. Emily warned her to leave it alone. Their grandfather had told them, even as kids, "That box stays buried. If you hear whispering, leave." But it was just a story. Until Jenna broke the seal. Inside were scraps of paper, some with ancient symbols, one with her name written in dried blood, and a mirror the size of a coin, black as obsidian. When she touched it, something moved beneath the glass. Then came the whispers, the dreams, and now, this. She turned back to the mirror above the sink. The fog had begun to clear. Her reflection was pale, frightened, and wrong. Behind her in the reflection, someone stood at the edge of the tub. She whirled around. No one there. She looked back at the mirror. Now it was just her. But her eyes in the reflection weren't hers. They were black, endless, and weeping blood. "Stop," she whispered, gripping her skull. "Stop it." She heard scratching behind the walls. A slow, dragging sound like fingernails on metal. Her skin began to itch. She scratched at her arms, and the sensation deepened, like something was moving underneath. She pulled up her sleeve. Thin, dark lines were crawling beneath her skin, slithering, writhing. "No," she gasped. "No, no, no." The voice from the drain returned. But it wasn't Emily anymore. It was deeper now, older, her grandfather's voice. "You never should have come back, Jenna. Some doors don't close once opened." The blood in the tub bubbled, A hand broke the surface, bloated, grey, with broken fingernails. Reaching upward, Jenna screamed and backed against the door, yanking the handle so hard it bruised her wrist. Still locked. The light above her popped, burst into darkness. Then dim red light replaced it, like emergency lighting. Shadows lengthened across the tiles. A whisper came from the walls now, low, chanting, ancient. She turned slowly toward the tub again. The hand was gone, but something else had risen. A figure, soaked, faceless, with gaping holes where the eyes should be. It just stood there, breathing. Wet, rattling breaths. She pressed against the wall, mouth open, in silent horror. The figure turned slowly toward her. She remembered her grandfather's funeral. The strange man at the back of the church who stared at her the whole time. She thought he was just a neighbor, but when she looked again, he'd vanished. "Emily," she whispered. "Where are you?" The whispers grew louder. The figure began to walk toward her, slow, heavy, each step squelching wet against the floor. The bathroom shrank. The tiles rippled like fabric. The mirror shattered. Blood began to run down the walls, and Jenna's phone, which she hadn't seen before, lit up on the sink. A new voicemail from Emily. She lunged for it, nearly slipping, and fumbled to unlock it with trembling fingers. She played the message, Emily's voice, gasping, panicked. "Jenna, I'm sorry, I should have stopped you. He was never buried, he's been waiting, and now he's in both of us. If you're in the bathroom, get out. Don't let him touch." "You don't—" The message cut out. A second message auto-played, same number. But no voice this time, just whispering, chanting. Then a long, wet laugh. Not Emily's. Behind her, the figure stood an inch away now. It raised one hand and pointed not at her, but at the mirror's remains. She turned. In the shards of glass, she didn't see her reflection. She saw Emily, tied to a chair in the cabin's basement, blood running from her nose, her eyes wide with terror. And behind her, something moving in the shadows. Something with too many arms. Jenna gasped and stumbled backward, bumping into the figure, which passed through her like smoke, but cold, bone-freezing cold, like death itself had reached inside her and gripped her spine. She dropped the phone. It shattered. The door unlocked. Without thinking, she grabbed the handle and threw it open, falling into the hallway outside. She scrambled to her feet and slammed the door behind her, chest heaving. The hallway was empty, silent. The cabin should have been familiar. She grew up here. But this wasn't the cabin anymore. The pictures on the walls were wrong. Family photos were burnt, faces scratched out. One picture showed her and Emily standing at their grandfather's grave. But they'd never taken that photo because they hadn't buried him yet, because his body was never found. Jenna turned, trembling, her hand still on the doorknob. She could hear breathing on the other side of the door, then softly, knocking 3 times. She didn't move, didn't breathe. A single note was slid under the door. She picked it up. Blood-stained, crumpled. In the center were 4 words. "You. Let him out." GD, the box was never empty. Jenna didn't remember running. One moment she was staring at the blood-stained note on the floor. The next, she was outside, barefoot, cold, her skin scratched from tree branches and her lungs raw from screaming. VI cabin behind her stood silent. Its windows were blacked out. Its shape seemed wrong, taller than it should have been, angled, like it had shifted into something else while she wasn't looking. She didn't stop until she reached the road, and even then she kept looking behind her, expecting to see him. The faceless figure, her grandfather, or whatever wore his voice. She had to find Emily. She had to fix this, but first she had to figure out what this was. Jenna found the ranger station a few miles down the gravel path, an old structure nestled into the woods. She'd seen it before, back when she and Emily used to visit the cabin in the summers, back when their family was still whole. She banged on the door, screaming for help. Her voice cracked, her hands were red from pounding, but no one came. Until the door opened on its own. Inside, the lights were on, dim, yellowed. The place smelled like paper and coffee and dust. She stepped inside, hesitating. "Hello?" Nothing. Then came a voice, a woman's, from the back office. "Who did you bring with you?" Jenna blinked. "What?" The woman stepped out. Early 60s, short grey hair, wearing a faded ranger uniform. Her eyes were sharp, not surprised to see Jenna, just wary. "Sit," the woman said. Jenna sat. She looked around the office. Old maps, forest fire warnings, a wall of missing persons reports. Dozens. Some of the photos looked recent, too recent. One photo stopped her cold. It was a picture of her. Grandfather, younger, smiling. She pointed. "That's Eli Avery," the woman said flatly. "He came through here about 40 years ago, then again 5 years ago, alone both times." "That's not possible. He lived in the city. His whole life. He never came back here after the fire." The woman stared at her. "That's what he told you?" Jenna swallowed. "Who are you?" "Clara, Forest Watch. I've been here long enough to know the Avery family brings trouble when they come back." She paused. "When did you open the box?" Jenna's blood turned to ice. "How do you know about the box?" Clara sat across from her and slid open a drawer. Inside was a thick folder, old yellow documents, photographs, a blackened cloth. She pulled out one image, a symbol burned into wood. It was identical to the one she'd seen in the tub. Clara spoke slowly. "Eli came here in 1983. Said he was researching the land. Said something followed him home. He begged us to bury a wooden box sealed in wax. Said it had to stay cold, undisturbed." Jenna's hands shook. "We found it in the cabin yesterday. Emily, my sister, she warned me not to touch it, but I—" "You opened it?" Jenna nodded. Something was inside, a mirror. It felt wrong. Then I started seeing things, hearing voices. Emily disappeared. Clara rubbed her temple. "That wasn't a mirror. That was a window. A piece of what your grandfather brought back. A thing that doesn't die. It waits, it watches, and now you've fed it." Jenna was trembling. "I didn't mean to. I didn't know. No one ever means to, but intention doesn't matter. To it. That thing you saw, it's not your grandfather. It wears his face. It wore your father's face, too, before he vanished. Maybe even your sister's by now." Jenna stared at her. "You're saying it's in her?" Clara said nothing. Just looked away. Jenna's heart cracked. "No, I heard her. On a voicemail. She's still fighting it. She's still in there." "You hope she is. That's not the same." Silence. Then Clara stood and opened a second drawer. A metal box, locked. She used a key around her neck to open it. Inside was another object, an old, black, marked with the same symbol, a compass, but the needle spun wildly, never settling. "It doesn't point north," Clara said. "It points to him. If your sister's still alive, this will find her." Jenna took it carefully. The metal was ice cold. Clara handed her a small pistol next. "This won't kill it, but it'll slow it down, long enough to run." Jenna hesitated. "You've seen it before, haven't you?" Clara's jaw tightened. "It took my brother in 1972. He screamed for hours before it dragged him through the floor." She met Jenna's eyes. "Some people carry the curse, others are just collateral." The compass led her back, not to the cabin, but to the cemetery. The one behind the old chapel that had burned down when she was a kid. She remembered coming here once with her grandfather. He'd stared at a grave with no name on it and said, "That's the last place he touched." That's where the whisper started. The compass spun, then stopped, pointing directly to that unmarked grave, and there, standing on top of it, was Emily. Jenna froze. "Emily?" Her sister turned slowly, Her hair was wet, her clothes torn, her skin was pale, as if she'd been drained. But her eyes, they were still hers. "Jenna," she whispered. Jenna ran to her, pulling her into a hug. Emily didn't hug her back. "I've been looking for you," Jenna said. "We'll fix this. We'll figure it out." "Shh," Emily whispered. "He's listening." Jenna pulled back slightly. "Where were you? What happened?" Emily looked over her shoulder. "He took me to the basement of the cabin. But it wasn't a basement anymore. It was deeper, blacker. There were people down there, or what used to be people." Jenna's throat tightened. "He's in the cabin now, waiting." Emily touched Jenna's cheek. "I'm sorry I didn't stop you, but it's not too late. You can still send him back." "How?" "You have to bury the mirror again, but not in the house, not in the woods. You have to take it to where it started." "The grave," Emily nodded. "Do you have it?" she asked. Jenna shook her head. "It disappeared. After I opened a box, it just vanished." Emily's expression shifted, very slightly. Then her smile came, too slow, too wide. Jenna stepped back. "Emily?" But her sister's voice was already gone. Now it was her grandfather's again. "Liar," he said through Emily's lips. "You never had it." Emily's mouth stretched unnaturally wide. Her eyes turned black. The ground under the grave split open. Hands emerged, dozens, pale and reaching. Jenna screamed and ran, the compass clutched in her hand, the pistol in the other. She fired twice into the ground. Dirt exploded. The hands writhed and shrieked before retreating. She didn't stop running, even when she reached the trees, even when she fell, even when she heard Emily calling behind her, "Jenna! Don't run! Don't leave me here again!" Jenna turned once, just to look, but Emily wasn't behind her anymore. She was ahead of her, standing beneath the trees, smiling. What she buried wasn't her sister. Jenna didn't sleep that night. She couldn't, even after she sprinted back to the ranger station, barricaded the door with a filing cabinet, and sat curled up behind Clara's desk, shaking. She never once closed her eyes, because every time she blinked, she saw Emily's face again, the wide, unnatural smile, the voice that didn't belong to her. She wanted to believe Emily was still alive, that the real Emily was trapped somewhere inside, whatever that thing was. But deep down, a darker part of Jenna whispered the truth. She was already too late. Box had never been a box. The mirror had never been a mirror. The woods, the cabin, the grave, none of them were what they seemed. This wasn't about curses. This was about something ancient, hungry, and it had worn her family like a costume. For generations, when morning came, if it even was morning, the sky remained a thick grey. Jenna found Clara dead, face down in the corner. No sign of struggle, no blood, just gone. A note was pinned to her shirt. "Everyone thinks the voice in the woods is someone else's echo, until it starts answering questions you haven't asked out loud." Under the note was Clara's compass, cracked down the middle, still spinning. The last thing Jenna wanted was to go back to the cabin, but that was exactly where she had to go. If the mirror was still there, it needed to be destroyed, or buried properly. She'd find it. She'd finish what her grandfather had started. The cabin was different now. Its structure had rotted overnight. The wood was black and sagging, as if infected. The windows were all shattered. The front door, gone. The trees leaned away from it, like the forest itself was afraid. Jenna stepped inside, gun raised. The air was thick, not just with dust, but something invisible and pressing, like she'd stepped underwater. The living room was covered in soot, a burned shape in the wood, the same sigil from the tub. Her skin burned as she crossed it. In the kitchen, she found more notes, carved into the walls. Hundreds of them. "Don't look in the mirror. I'm still hungry." She brought it back. Doors go both ways. The basement door was open. It hadn't been before, and a faint sound came from below. Breathing. Not hers. Something. Deeper. Wet. Like lungs filled with mud. She clicked the safety off the pistol and descended. The basement had no stairs, only a slope of roots and cracked stone spiraling downward. It felt endless. Jenna couldn't tell how long she'd been walking. 10 minutes, an hour. Eventually the air changed, grew colder, damper. She stepped into a wide underground chamber and stopped breathing. Dozens of mirrors lined the walls. All of them mismatched, some cracked, others covered in mold or blood, but they didn't reflect her. Each one showed a different person. Some were children, some were women who looked like Jenna, others like her mother. One, unmistakably, was Emily. They weren't moving, just staring back, but then one of them blinked. Jenna gasped. The version of Emily in the mirror raised her hand, pressed it to the glass, then mouthed something. "I'm still here." Jenna stumbled forward, reaching out. Another mirror cracked behind her, then another. Footsteps, heavy, wet. She turned and saw her grandfather's figure again, moving between the mirrors. "Never quite stepping into the light," he whispered. "You shouldn't have come back. You should have let her go." Jenna raised the gun. "Where is she?" He smiled. "Inside." Then she heard it again, Emily's voice, this time from every mirror at once. "Please, Jenna. Let me out." One mirror shattered, then another. Jenna fired blindly. Glass exploded, spraying the walls, but nothing hit the thing behind her. Suddenly, hands reached from a cracked mirror and grabbed her wrist. They weren't Emily's hands. These were grey, twisted bones showing through skin. The mirror started to pull her in. Jenna screamed, bracing her foot against the wall. She fired the gun into the glass, the recoil throwing her back. And the hands vanished in smoke. The mirror melted, and behind it, she saw a body, curled in a fetal position, in a small wooden room, hidden behind the broken glass. She smashed through what remained and reached inside. Emily, the real Emily, unmoving, thin, pale, but breathing. Jenna carried her out. The mirrors didn't stop her. They watched, reflected nothing. When she reached the surface, the cabin was already burning. Flames licked the walls, rising impossibly fast. Jenna didn't ask questions. She didn't look back. She ran with Emily in her arms, down the hill, past the cemetery, into the cold, ash-thick air of the woods, until she collapsed. For a moment, everything was still. Emily coughed, then opened her eyes. "Jenna," she whispered. Jenna burst into tears. "You're okay. You're safe." Emily blinked slowly. "Where are we?" We're out." But Emily's face twisted. "No," she said. "No, we're not." Behind them, in the distance, the cabin still burned, but not down, up. The flames rose, but the structure grew taller, stretching like bone through flesh, until it stood like a monument. A totem, watching. Jenna turned Emily's face toward her, only to see her sister's eyes go black again, for a split second, then back to normal. Emily whispered, "He's still inside me. He's hiding. He's waiting." Jenna took Emily to the nearest town, a hospital. They claimed exhaustion, dehydration, psychotic episode. They didn't understand. How could they? She told them her sister had been lost in the woods, that she'd found her. They believed it. No one asked about the burns on Jenna's arms, or the strange marks on Emily's shoulders that looked like tiny hands. 3 days later, the phone rang. It was the hospital. They'd lost Emily. "Gone," the nurse said. "We don't know how she got out. One moment she was in her bed, the next empty. No sign of forced entry." Jenna dropped the phone. She turned slowly to the window of her apartment. Outside, across the street, Emily stood beneath a streetlight, smiling, waving, then vanishing. That night, Jenna dreamed of mirrors. Only this time, she was on the other side. The reflection that lied. The dream started again. Every night now, Jenna found herself trapped in a cold, glassy prison, a maze of mirrors reflecting 1,000 versions of herself, but none were truly her. She could hear whispers, faint and cruel, echoing off the walls, voices calling her name, laughing in a language older than time. She tried to scream, but her voice was swallowed by the silence. Then a face appeared in the mirror nearest to her. Not her own, but Emily's. "Jenna," the reflection mouthed, "you're not free." Jenna awoke gasping, drenched in sweat, heart pounding as if trying to escape her chest. But this time, something was different. She wasn't alone in her apartment. The room was empty, but a faint scent lingered, something metallic, like blood and rust. Jenna's eyes darted to the mirror on her bedroom wall. It was cracked, a spiderweb of fractures running through the glass, distorting the reflection. And in the fractured shards, she saw her sister's face. Emily smiled, but it wasn't the warm smile she'd once known. It was cold, hollow. "Let me out," the mirror whispered. Jenna stumbled back, clutching her chest as a wave of panic surged through her. She slammed the bedroom door and locked it, but the whispering followed. "Let me out! Let me out!" The voice wasn't coming from the mirror anymore. It was inside her head. The next morning, Jenna was exhausted but resolute. She had to find answers. She reached out to an old friend of her grandfather's, a man named Malcolm Gray, a folklorist and expert in cursed artifacts. Malcolm's home was a cluttered sanctuary filled with ancient books, dried herbs, and strange talismans. When Jenna explained everything, the box, the mirror, the cabin, Emily, Malcolm's expression grew grave. "There's a name for this," he said quietly. "The Glass Warden." Jenna frowned. "What does that mean?" Malcolm picked up a dusty tome and flipped through pages yellowed with age. "The Glass Warden is a spirit bound to reflective surfaces, feeding on the living by trapping their souls inside mirrors. It's an ancient entity, older than most curses, and it uses the faces of those it consumes to deceive the living." He looked up, eyes burning with urgency. "Your grandfather didn't just bring back a cursed object. He brought back a prison, and the Glass Warden wants more prisoners." Jenna swallowed hard. "Emily is inside it." Malcolm nodded, "but there might be a way to break the cycle." He handed Jenna a small silver pendant inscribed with runes. "This will protect you from the Warden's influence, but only temporarily. You need to destroy the original mirror, the one your grandfather brought back." Jenna clenched the pendant. "Where is it?" Malcolm hesitated. "No one knows for sure, but legend says it's hidden where the Warden first entered our world. A place where glass and blood met." Jenna's mind raced. Glass and blood, the chapel cemetery, the unmarked grave. It all led back there. That night, Jenna returned to the cemetery, the silver pendant glowing faintly against her skin. The air was thick with fog, swirling around ancient headstones like restless spirits. She approached the unmarked grave, the compass spinning wildly in her hand. Suddenly, the ground trembled, the earth split open again, and from the depths rose a towering figure made of shattered glass and bone. The Glass Warden itself. Its eyes glowed like embers, and its voice echoed like breaking glass. "Return what is mine." Jenna held the pendant tightly and stepped forward. "I'm here to end this." The Warden lunged, shards flying like razors, but the pendant pulsed with light, creating a shield around her. Jenna reached into the hole and felt the cold touch of the mirror's frame beneath the soil. With all her strength, she pulled the mirror. "Free!" The Warden screamed, a sound that cracked the sky itself. Jenna raised a lighter Malcolm had given her and set the mirror aflame. The glass melted, releasing a torrent of anguished screams and a blinding light. When the light faded, the Warden was gone. Emily collapsed into Jenna's arms, eyes clear and free. But the relief was short-lived. Back in her apartment, Jenna noticed the cracked mirror. had completely shattered, and in its place, written in smeared blood across the wall, some doors never stay locked. The curse that clings, the blood on the wall still fresh, still dripping like a slow wound, haunted Jenna. The words echoed in her mind. Some doors never stay locked. She'd thought it was over. Destroying the mirror, freeing Emily, breaking the glass warden's hold, that was the end. But the curse had only just begun to claw at her soul. Emily was gone, not vanished like before, but changed. Her eyes, once clear, now flickered in darkness, pools of black that shifted. When Jenna wasn't looking, Emily didn't speak much. When she did, her voice was distant, hollow, like a recording skipping in a broken player. Jenna tried to convince herself it was trauma, PTSD from the horrors they'd survived. But the nights told a different story. Jenna woke one night to find Emily standing over her, whispering, "I'm still here, Jenna." But it wasn't her sister's voice. It was deeper, ancient, like the forest itself was speaking through Emily. Jenna froze as the words slipped into her mind. "You can't. Run. The glass is inside you now." She bolted upright, heart hammering, sweat cold on her skin. The pendant Malcolm gave her glowed dimly on the nightstand, a fragile barrier against the darkness. Desperate for answers, Jenna returned to Malcolm. His house was darker now. Shadows, pooling in the corners like ink spills. Malcolm's face was gaunt. His eyes held a sorrow Jenna hadn't seen before. "The glass warden is not just a spirit," he said quietly. "It's a curse, a bloodline curse. It passes from one to another, carried like a virus." Jenna's throat tightened. Emily's eyes. "The darkness. That's the curse, spreading." Malcolm nodded. "There's only one way to break it. A ritual, but it requires a sacrifice." Jenna's heart dropped. What kind of sacrifice? Malcolm hesitated, then whispered, "Someone bound by blood." The word blood echoed in Jenna's mind like a death knell. Her family, her grandfather, her sister. That night, Jenna found Emily standing before the cracked mirror in her apartment. The shards lay scattered across the floor, glowing faintly under moonlight. Emily's eyes were pitch black. "Help me," she whispered, voice layered with 1,000 screams. Jenna stepped forward, pendant burning cold against her chest. "I will." But as she reached out, Emily's face twisted, the glass warden's mask slipping free to reveal a creature made of shattered glass and bone. "Your blood will bind me forever," it hissed. Jenna stumbled back, heart pounding, but the creature advanced, glass shards swirling like blades. The pendant pulsed, casting a shield of light. Jenna grabbed a shard from the floor and plunged it into the creature's chest. It screamed, shattering into a million glittering pieces. Emily collapsed, eyes clearing. Days later, Malcolm prepared the ritual. Candles flickered in the small room where they gathered. Jenna's hands shook as she traced the ancient symbols Malcolm drew in chalk. "The sacrifice is you," Malcolm said softly. Jenna's breath caught. "Me?" "Yes. The curse must be rooted out from its source. You're the last link." Tears welled in Jenna's eyes. "I won't let Emily suffer anymore." Malcolm nodded. "The ritual will sever the curse, but it will cost you everything." The ceremony began. Jenna's voice trembled as she spoke the ancient words. The room darkened, shadows stretching like claws. Emily stood nearby, watching silently. As the final words left Jenna's lips, a piercing pain exploded in her chest. Her vision blurred. She felt herself slipping away, into the glass, the darkness, the curse. But then a voice, her own, echoed through the void. "This ends now." Jenna fought back, pulling herself free from the glass prison. With a scream, she shattered the mirror pendant Malcolm had given her. Light burst forth, engulfing the room. The curse broke. Emily collapsed into Jenna's arms, finally free. But freedom, came at a price. Jenna awoke alone. The apartment was empty. No Emily, no Malcolm, only the shattered remnants of the pendant and a single message etched in glass on the wall. "I carry it now." The reflection in the broken shards was not Jenna. It smiled and whispered, "Some doors never stay locked. The door that never closes." Jenna woke with a start, the morning light slicing through the curtains, but something was wrong. Her apartment felt colder, emptier. She reached for Emily beside her bed. Nothing. Her heart hammered in her chest, pounding like a warning bell. Emily was gone. Days passed. Jenna searched everywhere, friends, hospitals, police, but no one had seen her sister. The silence was suffocating, and then the messages started. They arrived on Jenna's phone. Short, cryptic, from an unknown number. "I'm trapped. Help me. The door is open." Each message sent chills crawling down Jenna's spine. The same words echoed in her mind. Some doors never stay locked. Driven by desperation, Jenna returned to Malcolm's books. The dusty tomes filled with curses and spirits, bloodlines, and mirrors. One passage caught her eye. When the curse passes from one to another, the prisoner becomes the jailer. The warden's prison is not just glass, it is the soul itself. To break the cycle, one must confront the darkness within. Jenna's reflection caught her attention, but it was wrong. Her eyes glimmered with something alien, something cold. That night, Jenna stood before the cracked mirror, now hanging crooked on the wall. Her breath fogged the glass as the room grew silent. The reflection smiled, a smile that wasn't hers. "Welcome back," it whispered. Jenna's hand trembled as she reached toward the mirror. Suddenly the reflection reached back. A cold force pulled Jenna forward, dragging her into the glass. She tumbled through darkness, into a realm of fractured reflections and broken memories. Inside the mirror world, Jenna saw everything she feared. Her failures, her guilt, the pain she tried to bury. But among the shadows, Emily appeared, her eyes bright, clear, and alive. "Jenna, you have to fight," Emily said. Together, they faced the glass warden, no longer a monstrous figure, but a shifting mass of broken glass and sorrow. "You carry the curse now," it said, "but it's not too late." Jenna realized the truth. The curse wasn't a thing to be destroyed. It was part of her. To break free, she had to accept the darkness within, to confront her grief, her rage, her guilt. With Emily by her side, Jenna faced the warden, embracing her pain. Light burst from her chest, shattering the warden into millions of sparkling shards. The mirror world dissolved. Jenna woke on the floor of her apartment. Emily beside her, truly free. The cursed mirror was gone, replaced by a plain glass pane, clear and ordinary. Jenna felt lighter, unburdened. But the final message lingered in her mind. Sometimes the ghost you're running from is you. The last scene, Jenna looking into a small hand mirror. Her reflection smiled warmly, but as she turned away, the mirror cracked silently, a faint whisper on the wind. Some doors never stay locked. The end.